Jim, independence isn't what you want. What you're asking for is omnipotence. Your hubris was your downfall and continues to blind you. Dan Bongino joins us now, former Secret Service agent, along with our other good friend, former Obama economic advisor. You know, the only president in history that never reached 3% GDP growth in his presidency. Austin, how are you, sir? Happy New Year.
17 million jobs.
Okay, well, I won't go down that road because I win. Now, let me start with you. Let's just say for a minute that the FBI is investigating Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, well, let's say he has friends in the FBI. And people that are saying things, texting things to boyfriends and girlfriends, oh, I hate Trump, he's a loathsome human being. And that he and the FBI director, they start writing an exoneration of Trump before they do the investigation. Why do I suspect my friend Austin Goolsbee would be up in arms, foaming at the mouth, apoplectic, and saying, this is not how justice should be done in this country? That's a question. You're supposed to answer.
Is it to me or to Dan?
I said Austin.
Oh, well, look, I would...
Go ahead.
What I thought you were asking, you were talking about Dan's tweet. Look, we want an independent Justice Department.
Not
if you're
answering my
upset at
question.
Comey, I understand that. I'm old enough to remember when Donald Trump tried to explain why he fired Comey.
Here's what I want to...
I'm
asking
that
you a
Comey had
specific
been
question.
too mean.
If
he
the
had been too mean
FBI
to Hillary
director
Clinton.
is giving an exoneration of Donald Trump and he didn't do the investigation and he's writing it, you're telling me you wouldn't think that's rigged?
About that.
Answer the question.
I have to take your word
Austin,
for that.
this is really important.
I have to take your word for that. I know the law states we are not allowed to ask lifetime FBI,
Austin,
Secret Service, or other Justice Department people about their politics.
If before he does the main interviews in an investigation, he's writing an exoneration.
It seems weird to me.
Seems weird to you.
I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know the details about it.
Well, you need to read more and watch this show. I'm helping to educate you every day.
Look, I watched this show.
Go ahead.
Sean, Jim Comey oversaw one of the most corrupt investigations of consequence in modern American history. Jim Comey should get off Twitter tomorrow. Jim Comey has a God complex. Jim Comey seems to think that he is the single arbiter of what's true and moral and good in the country these days. If Jim Comey wanted to be a politician and up his clout score on social media, then Jim Comey should have run for office. But this charade, this embarrassing charade, where he pretends that he was above it all, and by the way, he pretends that the FBI should be free of political influence, which it should, by the way, while he oversaw an investigation into the Clinton email scam, by the way, Sean,
Did he obstruct
which
justice
is only
in your view?
explainable.
If he's writing an exoneration,
which is only explainable by political influence.
If he and Peter, hang on,
you guys have got to be kidding.
No, we're telling the truth. You just have to keep up.
You're literally...
About what?
He called for an independent Justice Department and FBI, and you guys have worked yourselves to the position that
we're
you
talking
think
about
he's
deeds.
Obstructing justice?
We're talking about deeds. Let me explain it to you in simple terms. That if you're writing an exoneration...
That's what I need.
If you're writing an exoneration with a guy that openly finds this president loathsome, and is writing that to his FBI girlfriend at the time. And the exoneration even takes out the legal standard that Hillary Clinton clearly broke. Mishandling of classified information, destroying classified information, those are both felonies. If you're doing that, you're obstructing the justice process, aren't you, Dan Bongino?
Look, I know
Sean,
that you are not
Austin,
allowed.
Yo, Austin, listen, listen, I have a lot of respect for your economic background. I think you're wrong, but you are so
I have no
off
respect
base
for
on
his
this.
economic background. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's wrong, but you are so off on this. It is incredible. I spent a decade of my life actually working federal cases. Never in my life have I heard of a case where attorney-client privilege is extended to someone who's a lawyer, who's a potential co-conspirator in the case, where evidence is given back to the subjects in the investigation before it's concluded, and an exoneration letter is drafted before the investigation's even interviewed its prime suspect. Does this make any sense to you? And now you're wondering why we're laughing about Jim Comey and his independent FBI?
Is what
Thank
I can't
God for the good men and women of the FBI.
If you worked in the federal government, it was and is against the law for anyone to ask about your politics when they are evaluating you for jobs, career jobs at the Justice Department. The fact that this one agent had a political opinion against President Trump, they're not allowed to go ask the political affiliations and opinions of career
Austin,
people.
what about the exoneration letter? You glossed over
against the law.
This is amazing. I made 3 points. You addressed none of them. You addressed point number 6. I only addressed 3. What about the exoneration letter?
Your
what about
tweet has nothing to do with the points you're making.
Hey,
your
Austin,
tweet was about we shouldn't have an independent FBI.
Hang on. For the sake of our audience, answer point by point. Point 1, the exoneration letter.
The point 1 was about the tweet. Should we have an independent FBI and Justice Department? Yes, we should, and the law requires it. So attacking Comey for saying that, I think, is bonkers.
2. Go ahead. Dan.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're wrong. We shouldn't. We don't have an independent federal Bureau of Investigation. They work for the Executive Office of the President. I don't know where you got that from. This exoneration letter. Point number 2, by the way. What's your take on the evidence? Should we be giving back the evidence? Say a murder weapon was used. Do we give that back to the criminal before the investigation's even concluded, like they gave the computers back to the Clinton potential co-conspirators? When have you heard of doing something like that?
Look, as I said, that does sound weird to me. I'm not going to act like I'm the arbiter of the law, but let us reveal all of the facts rather than just cherry picking some of the facts.
How much more
How
facts
you
want?
work this into they are obstructing justice, that Comey's obstructing justice, when Donald Trump fired him saying, if you remember, he was firing Comey because Comey had been too tough on Hillary Clinton. That was the analysis that Donald Trump himself gave when he fired him.
I got to run.
And it was a lie.
Austin, the only president in history who never reached 3% GDP growth in single years of presidency. Who was it?
Did you say something about 17 million jobs, Sean? I couldn't hear that part.
All right, since President Trump took office last January, there's been no shortage of negative, nasty, downright biased coverage from the mainstream media and their favorite anchors. Tonight, we're going to show you some of the very worst offenders, and we start with fake news Jake Tapper over at CNN Fake News. Watch this.
It may be difficult for some of you at home to wrap your minds around a U.S. president who makes statements like this about the use of nuclear weapons, which would, of course, murder millions of people. None of this normal, none of this acceptable, none of this, frankly, stable behavior. Your behavior is causing great concern among the majority of the American people. Every single one of the president's wounds is self-inflicted. Every single one of them. So I don't really understand the propensity for self-pity at a time like this. If you are a hungry child in Appalachia or the inner city, if you are an unemployed worker in a hollow shell of a steel town, that's not a president who seemed rather focused on your particular needs and wants. The people around President Trump who are enabling this nonsense, the ones who know better, you have to ask yourselves this question. Are you really serving the president? Are you really serving the American people?
Yeah, of course, he prefers presidents like Clinton and Obama. You know, they try to bribe murdering dictators. And by the way, Jake Tapper is only one of the many Trump haters over at Fake News CNN, including their so-called White House correspondent, Jim Acosta. Take a look at some of his worst moments.
What we're witnessing right now is just this erosion of our freedoms in terms of covering the President of the United States. I think that there are moments when this president is just really sensitive to criticism, and he lashes out in this fashion. That is just a strange and unpresidential thing to do, to be throwing rolls of paper towels at people. The last 3 news conferences, Wolf, all of the questions to the American news media have been handled by conservative press. And I think, Wolf, there's no other way to describe it, but the fix is in.
The Statue of Liberty has always been
let me ask you a question.
Of hope to the world, for people to say,
Jim, do you believe
people to this country,
Jim,
and they're not always going to speak English, Stephen.
Jim,
they're not
do you
always
believe
going to be highly skilled. They're not always going to be
Jim, I appreciate your speech.
I think we saw the president's true colors today, and I'm not sure they were red, white, and blue.
Wow, not to be outdone by CNN, you have Conspiracy TV, MSNBC. They've also been broadcasting a nonstop Trump hate fest over the past year. It's especially true of host Joy Reid, who never masks her hostility towards the president. Here's a few of her highlights. Well,
it does seem that Donald Trump has the tools of authoritarianism down. He's got the dance of authoritarianism down to a science. Donald Trump has been publicly vulgar and venal his whole adult life.
Look, this is an administration that at the same time they're jet-setting around the country on luxury planes is also plotting to cut their own taxes by billions and billions of dollars. I don't think that he understands the human scale of misery. I don't think that he can connect with the sort of compassion that you normally have when you see a disaster like this. You have the religious right that has built itself on this idea of sort of moral superiority. They are four square behind a guy who thinks 2 Corinthians is 2 Corinthians, who's had 3 wives, 5 babies with 3 baby mamas. What is this about?
And, of course, we can't forget about cable news' most cringeworthy couple, of course, liberal Joe and Mika, whose biased and deranged coverage of President Trump, frankly, is unmatched by anybody. Take a look.
You have somebody inside the White House that the New York Daily News says is mentally unfit, that people close to him say is mentally unfit, that people close to him during the campaign told me had early stages of dementia.
You can say that's not okay to say,
but it is okay to say. When are we supposed to say this? After the first nuclear missile goes? He looked like a thug. He looked like a goon. You look at the handshake. You look at this. Just what a thug! What an embarrassment! Look, he's mauling him like an idiot. Like an absolute. It's just what an embarrassment to the United States.
Optics matter. It is a terrible thing to question someone's patriotism, but you wonder what he cares about. They see no talent. They see absolutely nothing behind the eyes that they can work with. This presidency is rotten all the way to the core and right to the top. You got to stop putting Kellyanne on the air. It's politics porn.
They seem mentally